For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast that hopefully doesn't have to remove itself from the comments section. And apologies for that audio mishap. Chris Kelly decided to keep himself unmuted as the entry music was going on and just decided to laugh. So he's Indian himself or he's currently muted. Sorry, Chris. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the... No, it's because I had to mute you.
God, I didn't even have the video playing. I thought we were just recording pulling silly faces there. It was pretty good.
You're always bloody recording silly faces. So hello, Chris. He's got his brush out and he's got his, for those not with the benefit of the visuals, he's also got his Cronulla Sharks NFL helmet in the background, starting to get his stuff together. Looking sharp as always. And then joining him is the our other regular co-host, Stephen Franklin, who's in his comments saying, I believe this is a reference to the, what was that movie? If you build it, they will come, Stephen?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, of course. If you build it, they will come. Reference to the Leagues Club, Franco.
Indeed. Yes. Exciting news. Wait, hold your horses. Don't get too pumped, but any news is good news at this stage. That's not, we're behind closed doors.
Well, that's true. The Leagues Club's already dominating the comments with 2.0 asking us in the section, what's a Leagues Club? We're going to go through that. And Harley being excited there, saying Sharks looking ready for the new Leagues Club in mid to late 2026. That will certainly lead the show off. I haven't done sidebar panels because we've got a pretty basic show tonight. We are going to talk through the Leagues Club announcement. We'll give our rundown on that. We'll preview the Dolphins match. There's a lot happening around the league. So Chris has done a full segment for us on that one. A lot of stuff happening. Chris has got 6 or 7 talking points, and I got 4 or 5 extra ones. So we're going to go through that. And then we'll also talk about the Sharks' 2-point loss in the NRLW. But let's get into it. The Leagues Club, the Cronulla Sharks, have officially announced that construction of their new Leagues Club at Woolooware will commence following a finalised agreements with developers Novum and Capital Corporation with a group called Xenia Constructions. Geez, they're just a powerhouse name that I'm sure we've all heard of. They've been appointed to lead the project, which is expected to take approximately 12 to 15 months, aiming for an opening in mid to late 2026. This development marks the end of the prolonged period of delays and challenges, including disruptions from COVID, the pandemic, escalating construction costs, and a range of other problems, half of which we'll never probably hear about. The new facility will be built on the site of the previous club adjacent to the Sharks Stadium and is set to become a central feature of Woolooware Bay Town Centre. And boy, does that area need it. I'm looking forward to that when that day comes. Sharks Chairman Steve Mason, CEO Dino Mezzatesta expressed their enthusiasm about moving forward with the project, both at the members' night just now and also on the announcement on sharks.com.au, emphasising the resilience and unity demonstrated throughout the process. They acknowledged the collaborative efforts of all parties involved and highlighted the significance of this milestone for the club and its members. Xenia Constructions, known for projects like Squire's Landing at the Rocks and the Coogee Surf Life Saving Club, brings extensive experience in hospitality and community spaces to the endeavour. General Manager John Guff conveyed confidence in delivering a facility that honours the Sharks' legacy and serves the local community. All right, I'm looking forward to that. The new Leagues Club is anticipated to enhance the matchday experience for fans and provide a modern venue that reflects the club's commitments to its supporters and the broader community. I've paraphrased that as well as I possibly could. Franco, give us your reaction to that news.
Isn't that He-Man, Hercules' friend? Yeah.
Princess Warrior. The Warrior Princess. Warrior? I believe so. I've got this wrong here. It's not John Guff. It's Lucy Lawless is the CEO of Xenia. Is that right?
Coming in to la 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 and give us a new Leagues Club. Yeah, look, obviously, as I mentioned, it's good to see news of some description that's positive. I would say that still a little bit to go, but at least, we knew that the club had put out tenders a while ago in anticipation for being handed the Leagues Club. Obviously, they were able to do a lot of due diligence and whatnot while waiting. So hopefully they've done a bit of research and they know. I'd imagine Dino has a fair few contacts back from his time at the casino, and they've probably pointed him in the right direction. Hopefully, I haven't had much time to do a bit of research on them specifically, but I will do over the next few days. Ultimately, though, they're really just the builder at this stage, is my understanding. They're not doing design or architectural work. Don't believe, but could be wrong. Watch this space, as the Sharks mentioned in their press release. There's going to be more news coming out as the project develops and continues. I think it was it 15 months ish, is pretty optimistic. I think. I don't know if that's going to be doable, but you never know. We obviously don't know what the full plans are. That could be something they get done. Obviously, there's the Christmas period they're going to likely stop for, but watch this space. If they are targeting a late 2026 season, I'll be there with bells on. Really happy that we've got a Leagues Club.
Kelly, are you sick of talking about this? You're a little bit critical of me in our personal group chat when I said, they're going to talk about the Leagues Club.
Yeah, this just goes along the lines of talking about Talakai as a centre or going around in circles that we seem to be doing on the podcast. But look, I'm going to hold my breath on it. You can see my bio for the video people, for the audio people. It says Prezzo's in 2030 because I will be not holding my breath to see what date that's actually released. I went back through the archives to see when we actually closed the doors, and it was 2019, and it was only supposed to be about 2 or 3 years at the most, and every article was updated ever since then. We've had a date. We even took a joking photo when we launched this podcast of saying Leagues Club coming soon, and that was
we did
the season. So
I have to get that one on up to Instagram. Actually,
we will
do that tomorrow.
We'll dig out that photo and say Leagues Club coming soon. Maybe we'll put it up as our thing and we'll pin it and see how long.
We were making fun of that in like 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago we made fun of the sign, so we took that photo in retrospect. But I suppose there's going to be a generation of kids who have no idea what we're talking about a Leagues Club or presentation nights or any of that sort of stuff. But again, it comes to my concerns of not just the builder, but as Franco knows, going through the Sutherland Shire Council, there's a lot of hurdles to go through that, given there hasn't been much output from the club and legal sort of things, we don't know where in planning they're up to, what they've done, what they've been approved for, licensing agreements, what's going to go through, what's going to be in the club as in, like I just mentioned, a presentation room, offices, what the deck's going to do, what that's going to impact a crowd, and how it's going to impact the Peter Burns stand. There is just so many more questions than answers, but let's just go with the announcement.
All right. Now, Les, we know the comments from this show frequently take over the show. So I'm just going to say this. I'm putting it out there, and I'm going to ask each of the boys this question. What's going to happen before the Leagues Club is built? So James Munro in the comments, speaking of it, he says, waiting for the Leagues Club is like leaving the porch light on for Harold Holt. Very funny, James. But SJD's come through in the comments saying Paul will be unbanned before the club is finished. So what are your suggestions? What is going to happen before the club is finished? Because SJD also said, I think they meant the mid-late 21st century. Tigers will have made the 8 before the club is finished. And 2.0 has said that Kyle Flanagan will be a decent half before the Leagues Club is finished. Have we got any other? What else could possibly happen before the Leagues Club is finished? Franco, I'll put you on the spot.
We might get a different team list before the Leagues Club is finished.
Yes, get a different team list. It's a different team list indeed. That's pretty good. Kelly, what have you got?
I was going to go along the lines of Kyle Flanagan, but I'll leave that for later. I reckon Wayne Bennett will still have a coaching gig at a different club by the time he's 80 years of age, which isn't that far off before we have the Leagues Club.
So Wayne Bennett has a new club.
Or he will still coaching by the time the Leagues Club comes out. It's just that guy's never going to stop coaching.
Ashley Williams has come in the comments saying Cronulla will stop playing Sweet Caroline before then.
I hope not.
I think that I will have maybe stopped saying the Sharks can't lose from here by then, even though I don't ever seem to learn that. Maybe is another one. I'm just trying to think what else can happen before then. Maybe Williams and I will finally come to a consensus on taking the 2 points and for and against, perhaps, is another one that might have happened. All right. Well, get your comments in. I want to see if anyone else thinks what can have happened before the Sharks League Club is built. Franco, the construction company, the way that's been announced and the way they've been portrayed as entertainment specialists, does that give you some confidence?
I will hold my judgment for that one until I do my own research. It's obviously a press release. The club wants to put everyone forward in a good light. We'll celebrate the victories. Quick little Google. Like I said, I'd like to do a bit more to find out exactly what their achievements are and what they've accomplished. I think that there's a little bit of hesitation when they say whether it's because of the copy or what, but it's mentioned twice that this is a milestone moment for the construction company. Kind of makes me hesitant that this could be a big project for them. So
Squires Landing is a restaurant down there in that overseas passenger terminal at Circular Quay.
Can I just say with that, Boldo, it's a great spot, and you will approve of this builder because Monjam was denied entry into Squires.
How good.
So there you go. You know they're pretty reputable then. So
here we go. Right, Monjan. All right, we've got a couple more have come through. SJD saying Talakai will go back to garbage collecting before it's finished. And 2.0 saying Cam McInnes will grow a front tooth before it's finished. That's definitely possible. All right. Yeah, it looks pretty good, this Squires Loft. And I don't know anything about the Surf Life Saving Club at Coogee. But certainly compared to those two, it's going to be a bigger project. All right, Chris, what do you want to see in the Leagues Club, in the design or any of this stuff, given that there could be changes and we're probably not going to end up with what they thought they were going to have? What do you want?
You got to make it all out like it was before. You need a good entertainment space for post game. So I want the dance floor like we had, Franco, with the live music. I want a really good gaming floor, a good tab area for maybe pre-games and after games and things like that. We'd actually go and watch away games there. So a bit more sort of atmosphere like, at Sharks Cronulla, you got there, Boldo, a big open space we can watch other away games and fans get together. And, of course, we need a presentation room. It's not going to be the same without Jimmy Munner at the top balcony yelling abuse. We need it.
It's actually been so long that I forget. Remember how the Sharks would win a match and the band would be there in that main room at the front there? Yep. And you'd just kind of walk around and everyone would be so happy and cop some high fives. Oh, yeah. That just seems like it's just an eternity ago, doesn't it, Franco?
It does. But even if they were to build those facilities into the club, there's no guarantee that they would bring that back itself, because they kind of stopped doing that long before the club closed down. It's certainly a burden on the playing group, especially results pending. There was always that time when everyone was excited to rip and tear, and then you'd get the announcement, yeah, we're not coming out tonight, guys. It's like, So,
you're right, Franco. It's such a long time ago that it's the world's changed a lot. You probably won't get that sort of interaction, that sort of, present the team. But yeah, like Boldo said, you need that atmosphere in there where you go around high five, and that's what they're missing. Like it's a lot of revenue we're missing out on, like a lot of money, especially in pokey game and pre-game.
Well, it's also the at-game experience, Franco. You can attest to this. If you're running a Leagues Club, then you've got a whole bunch of extra staff on call, so that then when you've got the match days, it makes more sense to be a game attendant because you've got a regular job during the week, and sure, you can serve drinks in the ET stand. But if you're only getting that 12 times a year. It's not exactly a job that you can lay down, is it? So
Yeah,
that's
it's an
surely got to
interesting
help
one.
the game experience, right?
CK mentioned the post game environment and whatnot, but really pre-game is just as, if not more important for the Leagues Club, because you want to try and get people there early so that the grandstands are full when the game kicks off. You get everyone having a few beers and a good time before the game starts, which I think it's important. They have mentioned having a funnel from the club directly into the grandstand instead of having to leave the Leagues Club, go around to the front gates, which I think will be very good for getting those people into the game and getting that last sneaky drink in the club before having to go into the ground, or turn up late as used to be the case. And the reason why this is very important is because, again, long-suffering club, what they discovered or what ended up happening sort of, we'll say mid 2000s, the nightlife in the Shire, specifically Cronulla Mall, really improved, and we went from having huge crowds in the club after games to this mass exodus of people going to the new Northies, as it was back then, the new Cronulla RSL, as it was back then, the various other, JDs, whatever it was called back then, and Zinc and Sting Bar and whatnot, and you'd had all these people just leave the club and disappear to go to Cronulla nightlife, where it was a little bit less policed, because obviously we knew with noise problems and whatnot that Cronulla Leagues Club got a little bit locked down after games, and then just a different vibe, different atmosphere, closer to transport, closer to home, different mix of people who weren't at the game. So, if you're a young person looking to try and hook up with someone, you would maybe get better opportunity out there at away from the Leagues Club. So if they could do anything to try and retain the people from the game and stick around for a few extra beers, that'd be great. But really, pre-game was where a lot of it was at for the Sharks towards the end of its life. I'd really like to see something that works well, because now to take advantage of the Woolooware Bay precinct, something that brings people there when it's not a game, right? Some kind of way of really integrating that deck to the club, so that indoor-outdoor kind of feel. So you can sort of have your spring and summer Casbah kind of go out there, and glimpses of the city and fireworks and whatnot. Have a really good mild weather evening with mates there would be pretty fantastic in my book.
2.0 in the comments says, don't mind the mass exodus, Franco. Less time waiting for a beer. My ask is, quick service, please. So don't serve a stupid number of beverages. Just serve 5 and just serve them faster, please. Yes, Christopher, before we move on to that last comment.
It was obviously, as Franco can attest, the restrictions came in those sort of mid-2000s due to such intox levels in the Shire and trouble afterwards. But the ones that are getting ripped off the most, I sort of had the vision for when they were doing this redevelopment and adding a hotel, was away fans that never get to come to Sharks. And they come and meet us all there pre-game, and like they come from Queensland and wherever else, and obviously Victoria now, we've got Sharks fans down there, and come to a place where they all go pre-game, what Franco said, and meet up with other Sharks fans. The height of, when we're all getting together drinking, and then they want to go to the Sharks store and they want to go to King Wan, and then they want to come afterwards and experience, and they can stay at the hotel next door and spend the next day there spending money as well. So they're the ones that have been missing out more than just us local people who went there every home game. It's the people that come and just go, oh, is that it? Like, we come for the game and there's nowhere to go. So that's what they need to focus on.
Tim, I believe this is from the Shark Cage, as in the comments has said, he's just come back from the members' information night. The club is going forward. Fans are quick to pull down Dino and the club, but if we got members to all of these events, they will see how driven everyone at the club is to give what is best for our club. Well said there, Tim. It's hard running these clubs. It's not easy. There's lots of different stakeholders and lots of different people with opinions, and if you asked different people for stuff. Some will say they want an auditorium. Some will say they want late night. Some will say they want a cocktail bar. Keeping interest for everyone's a little bit tricky. And I will just say that whilst Franco did name all the Cougars bars, thanks to Stuart Campbell, he didn't name the one key bar or location in the Shire, which is, of course, our sponsor, Miranda Hotel. And if you're looking for a good drinking location or a food to watch the State of Origin tomorrow night, do go down to Miranda Hotel and their sports bar. They will obviously be showing it live and loud. You can also watch the Sharks down there and the rest of the NRL this weekend because, of course, Franco, Miranda Hotel, one of the great spots around the Shire, right? Sponsor of the ET stand. You were just only mentioning
TV, all the games live.
Brand new tab area, one of the biggest in New South Wales. I've got a brand new tab area built out and fixed up, so they're on fire.
We've got to do an event down there. We better get onto that before the end of the season because I did say that we would do that, so we'll better think about that after the show. All right, let's get into the Dolphins match preview, gang. It's exciting that the Sharks welcome the 7th place Dolphins, who travel down to face the 10th place Sharks, equal on points. This match could have enormous repercussions for our end of season calculations for the few remaining top 8 positions that are on offer. The Dolphins are fresh off a bye, having spanked some teams recently with 50-point margins on the Rabbits, Cowboys, and the Dragons. However, you'd have to think that the Sharks will offer a sterner test to their credentials. The Sharks' record against the Dolphins, minus Matt Williams. I'll try to do this myself because if he did it, we'd probably be waiting for a Leagues Club before he'd get finished on his history segment as well. We have never beaten the Dolphins, having lost our previous 2 encounters, with the most recent loss being an annoying 30 to 28-point loss. This is a warning for all Sharks fans. Do not, under any circumstances, go back and watch the highlights of that game. That game, watching it back, sucks. It's freaking annoying. Don't do it to yourself. It's just classic Sharks on so many levels. We were down 22-0 early.
End of season. We'll give him a choice. Watch the 99 or that.
That
sucks.
Argue though, Boldo, we only played them twice, and the first matchup was just as annoying because the Dolphins weren't great and we were flying.
Yeah, but this one, I'm going to remind you, and I even put it into
from the fence.
I'm going to remind you what happened. So the Sharks, we let up a 22-point lead after like 20 minutes or something, and then we came back with like crap plays for like crash plays with Royce Hunt and Britton Nikora crashing over. Somehow then we get back into it, and then we're looking pretty good, and then Hammer gets that damn try where he goes like the length of the damn field off the damn kick. Which is a pretty good try. Yeah, good for you, champ. And then the Sharks are coming back for ages, and they just can't seem to put it together. And then with like 50 seconds to go, Franco's man, Britton Nikora, makes a break on the right-hand side. And they go down and score, and they of course score in the corner. And having watched it back, they actually could have and should have taken the tackle and then passed it 3 wide and just scored under the posts because they were covered out wide. And given how important the kick was, I think in hindsight, if they had their 20 seconds over again, and then, of course, it's 30 to 28, the Sharks have got their 95% accuracy freaking goal kicker who basically never misses from the damn sideline. And then he cops all this shtick about not being able to take the clutch moments. He's been like the key goal kicker for us all season, and he's kind of never been the same since. That was that match.
I reckon you can pinpoint the exact moment in that match where one D Boldo mentions, "We've won it. We can't possibly lose from here."
I guarantee it. I reckon you'll be able to hear it on the audio. If someone goes back, I guarantee it.
That wasn't as guaranteed as the Warriors one. I don't know how it is possible that the Sharks managed to lose from so many winning positions. How? How is this? I don't even know. Oh God. So anyway, we also lost to them in Magic Round. I wasn't going to watch that one myself, so bugger it. The Sharks have named their team to take on the Dolphins. Let's just pull that one up in the background as we go through. And just no background. It's like, what's the team? Well, we know what the team's going to be. It's basically exactly the same team. However, actually, we'll read out the team list. Chris, do you want to go through the team list?
Yeah, sure. Everyone, just for your knowledge, in case you're wondering, there's no surprises. So you've got Kennedy, Katoa, Ramian, Talakai, Mulatalo, Trindle, Hines, AFB, Brayley, Kafusi, and Nikora, Wilton, Cam McGuinness, the captain, and then, of course, everyone's favourite 14, Dan Atkinson, Jesse Calhoun, Toby Rudolph, and Brandon Hamunueli. So for no surprises, no shocks, nothing coming out of the bye, no injuries, no changes, no mix-ups.
Gabriel named in jersey 21.
No, don't.
He's been, how many weeks in a row has he been named?
Don't just leave
I
it
reckon
alone.
Gabriel's coming into the team this week. This is my big prediction. Gabriel, much like he's coming into the team.
Yeah. If you want to flick to the Dolphins team, I'll tell you why he's not going to come into the team.
Yep, go.
Well, she did the Dolphins slide, so we've got.
Oh
the
yeah,
team.
okay. You want me to look at the Dolphins team? All right, we'll go look at the Dolphins team.
So obviously at the
Chris,
moment they've named the Boldo's favourite Dolphin ever, the Hammer at fullback, but he's obviously playing Origin on Wednesday night, tomorrow night. So whether he's going to back up 2 days later in Sydney, but their backline is Isako, Feagai, Farnsworth, Avarillo. So I don't see us blooding or debuting a guy against probably one of the former centres in Herbie Farnsworth, who can't play Origin because he's English, and Jermaine Asako, who would absolutely tear him up. And Jake Avarillo, wow, got stuck on that one, is a really handy player and a good winger. So they've obviously lost Cody Nikorima at 6, so they're replacing with Sean O'Sullivan, who's a very handy player. Isaiah Katoa is the captain and the young halfback who has been an Origin squad all week. And you got Francis Molo, Marshalls King, Mark Nichols, Finifawaki, Keeley, who I'm not too sure about, and Big Kurt Donahue. He's not big, he's a little nugget, but he absolutely kills it. They got Tawa, Lumu, Ray Stone, and Josh Kurt around out the team with Christian Wolf, the coach. So, as Boldo mentioned, they have put 53 times on teams this year. We are 0-2. The red flags and sirens are going off on this game.
Slick back line.
Very nice. Yeah.
I actually quite like Hammer. And I like Farnworth as well. And I like Avarillo. In fact, there's a lot to like about these guys. Even though they're...
The Dolphins, it's the Fins Up Cup.
Yeah, they've stolen our fin up. They've stolen it.
Gone. We need to win it back.
Just like they stole Asako from us.
Yeah, I did have a suggestion from someone we should make it like a fin theme or some sort of we're the ones that get to keep the trademark for the rest of the season. But so far we're 0-2. They get to keep it.
Franco, how annoying is it them calling themselves the Dolphins and the Fins Up and all that stuff?
Oh, very annoying. I know I'm probably in the minority here, but to steal a phrase, it grinds my gears. It's just we had it in 2016. It was part of Gorman's bloody attempt to get the fans more involved, and unfortunately, or fortunately from your point of view, it was not really embraced. A bunch of the kids did do it, so the heart was in the right place. Some of the players did. I know even after it was all gone, we found players like Rudolph busting it out.
James Seguiaro.
James Seguiaro.
James Seguiaro.
And then they just took it and they've absolutely indoctrinated it into their fan base and into their players, and it's now used everywhere. They've even got those little funky rubber hats with the fins. They're absolutely owning their fin and their marketing of it. Unfortunately, I'd love it to be ours. I'd love to see our club sort of try and do something a little bit more along the lines of that, or even some funky little merch. Not to give our guys too hard a time. It just sort of seems all of the merchandise that comes out of our club seems to be the stock standard. Here is the merch that every club has. Slap your logo on it, and away we go.
I went into the Shark store last weekend. Actually, I thought it was pretty good.
It's excellent. It's
got some nice warm
fantastic
jackets now.
And
just
it's
the
run
big...
really well. It's got all the right things going for it. It's just that if there's a funky, cool Hawaiian shirt with a shark on it. Well, you can bet there's a funky, cool Hawaiian shirt with a Bronco on it as well floating around. We just don't do anything that's particularly unique. And I don't know if that's an NRL-wide thing. Obviously, I don't look closely at all the other clubs, but like I said, the Dolphins have that rubber hat with the fin. Why? It's cold enough at Shark Park. Why can't we get a set of gloves? Get a set of gloves. Have like the thumb as the fin. The thumb is the
There
fin.
we
You have
go.
a
Here's
picture
an
of a
idea.
shark along the hand, and you could be like, dun 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 dun, as you wave your hand in front of the camera. You know, how good would that be? Let's do that, Sharks fans.
I can't believe you're siding with a team whose original jersey they launched looked like the can of vanilla Coke. That's what they literally got called, was the vanilla Cokes, because they went with the
Yeah.
cream like vanilla Coke and the red. And smartly enough, they're not Redcliffe. They're just the Dolphins. They're just straight up Dolphins. They're not owning
What
Queensland.
are they worried about the Super League coming back or
Yeah.
something?
They're just the Dolphins. So I don't know how you're going with their merch, because their fins in the crowd they hand out are just paper fins that they just throw out in the bin everywhere. So, for someone who's their mascot's a dolphin, they're not really promoting ocean awareness when the bloody place gets flooded. So,
All right. SJD's giving you a compliment there, Franco, saying you're a marketing genius. He's got a lot of good ideas, SJD. That's why he's on the podcast. If you've got any ideas for Sharks merch, get it in. That would certainly be funny. Look, I haven't even bloody gotten off my ass yet to do ET stand merch. Yes, Chris?
I have been asked to bring back at least the inflatable shark head for the guys that run out of something. A bit of oomph when the guys.
Yeah, but the Bulldogs have got the inflatable Bulldog, so that's not even unique just to us.
Yeah, but it got a bit of atmosphere, a bit of
I still love your idea, Chris, of the shark alarm with the scissors.
The Dolphins now got Timmy Trumpet playing a recording like the Parrot chant, and he gets out there with the trumpet and introduces the team.
God!
They don't walk out.
All right,
starts before.
All right, back to this Dolphins team. Ned Smith in the comments saying is that he doubts that Hammer will play on Friday. I think this is a crunch game. I think everyone's backing up if they possibly can. I can't see him not playing, Chris.
Look. If he wasn't playing fullback, I'd say he's probably a high chance of backup. But playing fullback for Queensland, it's just going to depend on what happens tomorrow night. If we absolutely run over the top of Queensland, he doesn't really get much work out there. But if it's a close, tight game, I couldn't see him backing up 2 days later.
All right. Other comments? We'll just turn this back to the Sharks team.
The problem with the Hammer, if he doesn't back up, their electric fullback Trey Fuller is on the extended bench. So it could be more alarm bells.
What do you mean? We got Will Kennedy. What are you talking about? All right, the Sharks. All right. SJD's called it out in the comments. Stone Street's not named for the Jets either. Thought he was supposed to be back by now. Someone else also said that, didn't they? Someone up there said that.
Yeah, Richard Wright. Yeah.
It is his birthday.
Yeah, there he is. Yep.
It was noted that he is soon to be brought back, not quite yet ready.
And Stuart Campbell in the comments saying Acco looked good at number 6.
He did. He looked really good. Yeah. So I mean, but that's not telling us anything new. We've always said he's a good player and he would do well in first grade as well in the right role. It's just his role for us at the moment doesn't fit the team, doesn't fit what we need from him. It's don't confuse what we're saying. We're not knocking Atco the player because he's fantastic. He'd be great starting in the halves at either 6 or 7. Unfortunately, that's not where he is and that's not his role. And even at 14, there doesn't seem to be a plan for how to use him when he comes on. I think it's just a little bit wait and see, a little bit opportunistic, and those scenarios have just come across too infrequently for us this season to really appreciate him as a utility.
I just looking at this comment here from Scott Hansen, fellas, it's just distracting me. Can you put up a meter of every time you mention the Dragons or the Dargans? Well, Mr. Scott Hansen, I'll just say that if we were to do a meter of every time we mention the Dragons, then That meter would never get used because they're not really top 8 irrelevant, mate. So
He was the suggester last season to have a Fins Up Cup. So whoever gets the win holds the moniker for that next match.
I don't know. I'm going to go with my Gabriel plays this week. I reckon
Oh.
Talakai to the bench, Gabriel plays. I just think after a bye is the round they're most likely to blood a new player. And so if they're going to do it, this is the week to do it. Otherwise, it doesn't happen this season, is my take. Chris, Sharks, how do we win?
Yeah, like I said, the Dolphins are a real gritty team. They're kind of exciting to watch. They've got a lot of points in them. Really good halves, even though they've lost, like I said, Cody Nikorima, but they've obviously got Sean O'Sullivan, who's played there the last 2 seasons and a really good half. It's got to be through the middle. It just has to be. They're a bit light on at the moment. They're missing a few. Mark Nichols is pushing 55 at the moment, but he's starting this week. They've lost a few key players this season due to injury. It has to be through the middle because the rest is just danger. And I want to say we're going to win 30-28 in the reverse.
Franko?
Yeah, I concur with CK. It's straight down the middle. It's what's needed from us. You might see a little bit of flair once we've knocked the door down, but ultimately, yeah, down the guts of it, and hopefully Brayley has a bit of a wow of a game. I think in this scenario, you talked about being a crunch game for the Dolphins, and that's why you think Hammer will play. It's definitely a crunch game for the Sharks. We heard our coach talk about our performance against the Storm, how our defense had improved. We maybe had a bit of a chat about how, travel and the length of the season has started to get to us. This was a chance to stop, reset, put what we've sort of put our structures back into place and go at it now for the back end of the season. This is where proof is in the pudding now. We've had our bye week. We've had a bit of a rest. We defended well against the Storm. We've now just got to do that for the full 80 and add a bit of attack on top of it. If we don't come out strong against the Dolphins, I know the back end of the season is a good draw for us, but if we don't do it here and now, it's alarm bells for the rest of the season. So I'm going with a win as well. And I think, I'm going to go 30-14.
16-point win. All right, get your comments into the comments. Harley has said the Sharks will win by 8 here in the comments. That's all the tips that we have so far. I think the Sharks will beat the Dolphins. I reckon Sharks are favourites at $1.61. Tips are down for the Sharkies. We need to win. It's back at home. It's Friday night. Swirling winds at Shark Park and what's Phil Gould's line that he used, Franco? Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle. That'll be running at full force. I think the Sharks will win pretty comfortably and we won't ever be worried about losing. That's what my take is. All right, get your comments, get your predictions in. Oh, goodness me, ASJD will lose or win by 19 plus. And Will the Younger in the comments saying AFB for a double, 22 points to 18. All right, Sharkies fans, we're pretty confident. All right. Let's get into the league roundup, shall we, Chris?
Oh, sure.
Let's go that version. There's a bit happening around the circles of rugby league. Actually, a lot happening. So let's go through it, mate.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a short and around the league until I started to really dive through the news, and there's a lot going on. So, obviously, we've got Origin 3 tomorrow night game in Sydney. It's sold out with 80,000 apparently fans at the moment. And when Queensland just need that little bit of motivation, unfortunately, some sad news for Cam Munson with his father passing away suddenly on Sunday. So that's the motivation he's going to get out of that. He is going to play. He's backed up to Sydney today, flown into camp, and he's going to captain the team. So whether it's emotionally draining in the right way or the wrong way, hopefully New South Wales just squeak out a win and he can sort of go and concentrate from there. So unfortunate news, but they do like a story, the Queenslanders.
Yeah, it's sad for anyone who loses a family member at any time. It's just a bit extra motivation for them. They do it well, the Queenslanders. Pretty pumped up for this Origin match now. I don't think I'm going to do the watch along. I was going to do one, and then I'm going to be out in the Shire with my parents, and so I think we're going to take the opportunity to watch the State of Origin with my dad, actually. So, but
You got a
if you want to get involved with it, chat with us during State of Origin. Franco, of course, everyone can do that in the Discord channel, can't they?
Jump on the Discord, yeah.
Jump on the Discord channel. The link for that is in the bio of the description. I think I said last week New South Wales are going to win. I'm going to stick with that tip. I think New South Wales, the quality of that team is going to be too strong. They're just too good across the park, especially in that back line. On to the next.
Obviously, the NRLW kicked off on the weekend and during the week. And as we saw, the Sharks went down 16-18 in a close game that we probably should have won, but didn't. It was very Cronulla personified, losing 18-16 to the Eels. We also lost one of our bench players to an ACL injury, unfortunately. So it was a bit of a bad start to the season to kick off from there at home. So us boys discussed it about probably trying to improve the NRLW with crowd attendance and the like, because being a Thursday night and last week of term, it wasn't a great time slot for us. But hopefully,
terrible time slot.
Terrible. The Thursday nights are bad, Monday nights are bad, but they just threw it out there. So obviously the Bulldogs kicked off their inaugural season with a victory. Broncos flogged the Tigers. The Dargans, just for Mr. Hanson, beat the Raiders down there.
One.
The Cowboys, Titans, and the Roosters, the reigning premiers, defeated the Warriors 30-6. So yeah.
All the top teams won, didn't they?
Pretty
really,
much.
Except for the Sharks.
All except for one.
Except for us.
Except for one. Next.
On the back of that, it's Try July. So post-try celebrations have been encouraged. As much as we all love it, the men are still far behind the ladies. The ladies really got into it. We saw the Eels did too early on against us, and there were some classics. A young girl from the Dragons did the Piggy Riddell tribute, where she jumped on the fence and clapped, and then the cameraman showed a guy who he thought was Piggy Riddell, but was about 100 kilos heavier, and then realised that Riddell was just down the 2 seats from the other guy. We obviously had a cup of tea. We had another one was a shoe polish from the Knights. Cherry Evans pulled out the old man and walking stick when he scored a try late. And Nelson pulled out the big selfie. And that's when I noticed when there was people in the crowd pretty much giving it to him for celebrating. But guys, it's for charity. They already raised $100,000 for it just that weekend just gone. So good on for the players for getting involved. I think there should be more of it. Franco, what would you pull out? I know you love it. You love it.
Maybe love it. Oh, mate, I think I don't know. I'd try and do. I think the teammates getting involved is always the best thing. There's only so much you can do as a solo participant, but yeah, I think we all remember Hamlin Ueli and Jack's WWE maneuver. That was pretty epic. So yeah, more of the same. Bring it on, guys and gals.
Yeah, I think they've got to be reminded at least. I know it's hard when they're concentrating, but like I said, it's for charity. You see, some players go to do it, their teammates kind of jump them and mob them, and they don't get to do it in time. And yeah, bring it on. I enjoy it. Bit of flair to it.
If you're going to ask me, Chris, how I would celebrate?
Go on. You'd have so many.
Well, firstly, there is this option, of course. But I'm a big fan of the Brian Laudrup, who's a Danish footballer who used to run along and kind of he'd do a big slide and like run along and then just go like that. He was always one of my favourites. I like the individual ones. I think the team ones are a little bit too premeditated.
There was a good one, a TikTok trend going around of some young Asian kid doing a rowboat dance, and so the Storm pulled that out with Nick Meady did the dance, and his two teammates were behind him pretending they were rowing the canoe. So there are some quick ones, but they just do them too fast. They need to relax into it, enjoy it.
Fair enough.
In saying that, there was 3 brothers for the first time ever to score a try each in an NRL game against the Roosters on the weekend. So the Finau brothers got a try each, and Tigers got the victory over the Roosters over there. So something pretty cool, bit of a milestone, bit of a record. So I wonder what unfortunately Williams isn't here, but ask me who the other brothers were previous to the NRL era. So
it's the Walters brothers.
No, but all 3 in one game
that scored a try.
Yeah.
What about the Walker brothers?
Yeah, it should be the same thing. You still need 3 of them.
Yeah, but two of them played against one in the same game, and that was the game where they had the questionable moment with the match fixing, where one of them gave a penalty to the other one, and he kicked the penalty goal as the first point scoring play, and that was investigated. Is it like 2004 or something? It was quite a long time ago. I don't know the answer to that one, Chris. So who knows?
Google it quickly. On the back of the Lockie Galvin coming into the Bulldogs and upsetting it, come from the Tigers. Reed Marnie's decided to take a 3-year deal with the Cowboys, replacing Reece Robson up there. So pretty good move by Marnie, and watch this space to see what happens from there.
The Bulldogs, Chris. This is one of my questions for you.
Yeah.
Boy, on NRL 360, they were arguing about it last night. I think the Bulldogs have imploded with this Lachlan Galvin stuff. They're dumping Marnie, they're moving on Sexton. They were top of the league, and now they're a mess.
I tended to agree when they signed Galvin in regards to bringing him this season and putting him on the bench. I'm still confused of what they're going to do with him because they've also got Kurt Mann playing 14, Lachlan Galvin playing 17. They've got a hooker out there. They've got a 5'8" who can play centre. They've got a half out there that they don't want. But in saying that, I wouldn't put it all on Galvin because Marnie was also looking to go in the off-season, and Sexton was pretty much told he's not going to stay on after this year anyway. So there is a bit of upset over there, but Buzz was just getting upset because he hates Gus, and that's about it. So he wanted to say, two of their spine players are gone, but they were already going. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Marnie
can't help during the season.
It does not help, but, that's a pretty good deal for Reed Marnie to go up to North Queensland and be the starting hooker up there in 3 years. So, and then Sexton himself said, and I've always said that if you're a peak 24-year-old, why wouldn't you want to get paid, $500,000 to go and play in Europe? And he's going to the south of France. He said he always wanted to go over there, and he's 24 and do it now, and he'd come back in 3 years' time.
Perhaps Franko.
Learn a new language. Where you
Bonjour,
go, have fun.
Très bien.
Franko. Yes, mate.
The conjecture around these mid-season player departures and contracts and the Cherry Evans and how teams have just fallen apart. You've said, and you're on record, that the Sharks could consider moving on Nico Hines. Mid-season, next season, that would be an absolute disaster, wouldn't it? Do you think we can handle that, or we'd just be done?
I kind of feel as though you're putting words in my mouth there. I don't quite remember ever saying that, but I did say that.
No, you said that it could be an option, didn't you? You said, it's one thing we could think about is.
I just said that his contract is still got a long time left, 2029. If we were a more ruthless club, a la the Roosters or the Broncos or something, and we had a player that was not performing as well,
we'd just dump them.
They would be dumped. They'd be turfed. As we are the Sharks, I'm fairly confident that we will have him through till 2029. My concern was, which is slightly different to this scenario, is there's a lot of people pretty excited about some up-and-coming young halves, and at this current point in time, their pathways are blocked. Are they going to be willing to hang around till 2029 to get their shot, or is there going to be some kind of movement, whether it's Nico to lock or someone being moved on somewhere? Who knows? But it's an interesting watch this space moment. I'm all for mid-season moves, by the way. I think anyone in the press who uses the fans as an excuse to say, the fans can't handle this mid-season transfers or people signing, there needs to be a transfer window or whatever, I think it's absolute garbage. I think it's something that's been touted as just back page fodder. Mid-season transfers, it's great, go for it. It shakes up the league. If you're looking for a piece and you've got the right administration to be able to take advantage of it, go for it. And as far as the players are concerned, they've already said they don't want a transfer window. They want as much time as they can have to get the best deal for them and their family, which, I'm more than happy for them to do so. That's also a bit of a cop-out comment when we have seen players move on a dime. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, no, getting players signed through the season is fine. I think this is more.
I'll tell you why it's not
a
fine and a good idea, Franco.
Mhm.
So what happens is that the player contracts run from November through to October. So if you move someone on from in June, then you've paid them 9 months of their contract for that year. And actually the key timing in the season is the end of the season is the last 3 months. So it could work if there was a salary cap concession given from one team to the other. So it's all right, well, I'm trading you Reid Marnie now, but you're going to give me all that money back on next year's cap or something like that, which is the way the NFL runs it, and they can transfer cap space. But because it didn't make any sense for the Sharks to dump Matt Moylan, for example, midway through a season, because we'd already paid him for most of the season. So we may as well keep him on the books anyway, because we don't really get anything by moving him on. All we get is
case basis, though.
Yeah, but it's why would you bother moving a player on? You've already paid him for 9 months. You may as well keep him as the backup. That's why it doesn't work. So if you had a solution for that and the NRL could get that to work, then I think you're right that the mid-season transfers would be fine. But because the contracts are that way, I just don't think it makes financial sense to bother doing it.
The mid-season transfers are because clubs are desperate to do something, right? If they want, they could be doing this in round 2 or 3. It just has to happen before June 30. So, it's not a case of mid-season is the be-all and end-all of these player movements. You can have it earlier in the season if it befits both clubs.
But it frequently doesn't. Like, for example, it makes no sense for the Sharks to let Daniel Atkinson go early. Pointless. Doesn't do anything for them.
Because he's our backup half. So,
Correct.
again,
so we wouldn't do it.
Horses for courses, right? No, we wouldn't do it. But if there was something that I don't know, a back rower or something that
Money to
wanted
power.
out, you'd look at it, especially if there was a player swap or, as you said, a fairly good concession.
Swap's different.
Yeah,
Swap's different.
Correct.
Different. But a straight up move. All right, on to the next.
Boldo's next favourite player, Brandon Smith, moved to South on the weekend off the back of an ACL, and now he's done a MCL injury, so he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. So it was a great debut for him, for Brandon Smith. I didn't sneak one slide in as well, though, Boldo, and speaking of contracts, there's an interesting one coming up I was going to throw to you a bit in regards to a Jareem Buller at the West Tigers. So he has a player option and there's also a club option. So the club takes up their option, he gets paid $900,000 next season. But if he takes up the player option, he gets $800,000. But he can also exercise the right to negotiate. And interestingly enough, he just took up Isaac Moses as his agent, who was also Lockie Galvin's agent. And the guy has caused a bit of a mess. Would you, if we started to tap players and didn't re-sign Kennedy, consider Jareem Buller?
He's expensive. I don't know, these Tigers players, other than Fafita, I guess Tedesco was pretty good, wasn't he? Some of these Tigers rejects, maybe they are quite good. I don't know. 900,000 just seems like quite a lot.
Maybe he wants to leave for less money, a la Galvin. He just wants a better opportunity.
Well, he'd certainly be the star fullback at the Sharks, wouldn't he? He'd have the run of the play. Get to go down there and hang
player.
out in the new leagues club. He'd be a pretty handy player. I caught wind of a quite excellent YouTube documentary on Isaac Moses. We'll put it in the comments after the show, that was published a couple of days ago. So almost got 100,000 views, just talking through the history of him as a player agent and all of the various different scandals that he's been involved with. It's a sizable number, most notably the Storm one, of course, and then also managing a whole bunch of coaches. Now, a friend of mine, he is a player agent for the Premier League, and he was rather disgusted by some of the deals that the Premier League managers and the kickbacks that they get from the player signings. And so the Premier League managers are far more wealthy than you realise, because when a player signs from one team to another, they give the manager a kickback if he's gone through and actually helped that deal. And so this just reeks of that, with the player managers and the coaches having links and signing players. It's just a bunch of corruption and a bunch of clouds around the NRL. I don't know whether it's going on or not, but it is certainly not a good look by any means. And really, I think the Sharks have done a good job of actually avoiding a lot of that with the player agents. Basically, I think Moses has been involved with every team, but hasn't really been too involved with the Sharks except for Aaron Woods, as far as I could tell. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, look, he's been decredited twice, and Uncle Nick, as in Uncle Nick Politis, made a line in the sand where he would not deal with him anymore. He last dealt with him with Suoli'i, who obviously he knew was going to be a stopgap for a little bit. So that was the last deal he's done, and said he never deals with Isaac Moses. So there is a little unrest, obviously, with the NRL, and he represents coaches as well. I think it's Seabold, maybe.
Yeah, it's Seabold.
So
Isn't he a Flanagan agent as well?
No,
Yeah,
he's a Flanagan agent. So the talk was that Flanagan got the assistant job because Seabold was the... And then, oh, goodness me, go watch the damn documentary.
and it's the same thing. Like a transfer, we all know rugby league, it doesn't work that way. There's backdoor deals goes 24/7. Like there's guys making moves before they even think about it. They can move on a dime straight away. They don't need months. They don't need weeks. Like Franco said, they can go to the Cheese has already moved clubs like this season. Like he was at the Roosters at the start of the year and was pretty much told he's going to get moved on and signed with South, and then they had to work out if it was going to be $100,000 or $60,000 they're going to pay each other. Like it's just stupid.
Well, South's the Roosters certainly moved off him because they thought he was a bit of a buffhead, which is probably an accurate description. Now, Franco, one of your big supporters, SJD's turned on you. So he was a big fan initially and said you're all over it with the marketing, but now he's saying mid-season transfers are rubbish. Stick to those marketing ideas, Franco. The coach just coming out, giving you a bit of shtick, which we do welcome. As long as it's not personal attacks. We welcome comments, and as long as you don't say I'm embarrassing myself or I shouldn't be a podcast host, you can taunt us in the comments, can't you, Franco?
Mate, I'll cop any personal attacks as well, so long as they're above the belt.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike Knight in the comments saying that those dollars are way too much for Buller, as has 2.0. He said, well, actually, no, 2.0 saying you had me at Buller. Very good player. He has speed to burn. 2.0 just likes the fast players. All right, on to the next.
He's probably a 10-year younger version than Will anyway. So I had to bring in as the last slide. We went from Boldo's favourite player, Brandon Smith, to his favourite coach and combo in Ricky and Kyle Flanagan. Obviously, the Raiders are still sitting top of the table, much to Boldo's delight.
The Raiders suck.
They had a victory, obviously, against the Dragons. Their young fullback, and they got a youth style. KO Weeks had a whale of a game, a hat trick, but they nearly became the Faders again with a nice Dragons comeback. And then for some reason, Ricky just went and attacked the media over Kyle Flanagan. And apparently the media is the reason, Flanagan's getting booed, but it was just a goal kicker kicking from the sideline. I don't know what happened. Flano didn't muse at it at all in his press conference, and then Ricky went absolutely ballistic, even after a victory. I suppose, I don't know, maybe because he had a bye this week, he just needed to get something off his chest. But Flanagan had a good...
It was in response to that question, Chris. So the media asked the question, something like,
did you hear the boos?
Yeah, did you hear the boos? Were you happy that your fans booed Flanagan? That was the question to... I think Stewart just came out and said it was a joke, and he thought,
correct, yeah.
The media. So I do think the media does beat up on Kyle Flanagan a bit unfairly, though.
The question posed to Ricky Stewart was there a reason why you took the foot off the gas? And he goes, what do you mean? She goes, well, that last 20 minutes. And then he just went on this tirade. So it came out of a bit of a left field, but I haven't seen too much media bashing. It's more obviously the social media fan, but where would you rank Kyle Flanagan? We've talked about it before. Like, he probably would have hung around the Sharks. He obviously got ditched from the Roosters. He got ditched from the Dogs. They've now got Atkinson coming. They've got Ilias there. I don't know. Like, it's...
I think a lot from the media, I think the heat is more on his father as the coach who's selecting him than
correct.
The player. But this is just classic Stewart, who is deflecting and trying to keep people away from talking about his team, fly under the radar, even though we're coming first. No one's talking about how they're at the top of the ladder and they've still got two buys in hand, right? It's remarkable how well they're doing, and they flew to Vegas and back as well. and just on that, you mentioned their fullback Weeks getting a hat trick, having a whale of a season. There's another fullback that I'd consider snaring back to the Sharks is Chevy Stewart. Stuck behind Weeks. Maybe see if he wants to come to the Sharkies and fight for a spot.
Good call. I like it.
That was the Around the League segment. Anything else we want to bring up?
No, did you have? You said you had a couple of sneaky ones, or was there anything else?
Well, I had the Bulldogs chat, so we talked about that. I really liked the Tigers win.
Yep.
I thought that was rather spirited. Like, I'm kind of a closet Tigers fan these days. I still think they can sneak the 8.
Well, you had the
which will be
Dragons.
interesting. The Dragons are no chance.
You had them in the 8. You said
No, I didn't.
well, I'm going to bring it up.
I definitely did not have the Dragons in the 8.
I'll post it tonight on the story with all our tips for the season. See how we're going.
All right, we can go work that out. Well, I'm not tipping the Dragons. The Dragons are well out of the 8 now. They can't make it. They're because they've also had a fair amount of buys.
They've had all their buys, yeah.
Yeah, so they're 2 points off the Sharks and had their buys. So I think anyone who's below us is pretty much curtains for them. So actually, maybe, the Tigers, they are probably done, aren't they? And other than that, just open slather question for Franko, who was on to me today about the rules in the NRL. Just, do you want to make a response to or commentary on your take on the rules at the moment?
Oh, just there's a little bit of, back to my comment a couple of weeks ago about the professionalism of the game and how standards need to be lifted. It's the rules as posted on the NRL website is circa, 2023, and we're now in 2025 with a couple of rule changes, and none of them are referenced in the online manual. It's kind of frustrating when you go to reference certain things. So lift your game, NRL. Be more gooder. Get professional.
I think the thing for me, obviously, tomorrow, you watch, they want a free-flowing, open, entertaining, bash them all at expense, the best 34 players going at it, and the whistle just goes away. But then in game 2, the whistle came roaring back out, and they'll readjust it again for tomorrow night. I guarantee there'll be no more than 4 penalties tomorrow night. There'll be plenty of 6 agains, but penalties, I reckon, will be 4 across the whole game, because they just adjust it to how they want to be, and then the next week, some team just gets hammered with other calls. It's bizarre.
Dean, we are going to respond to your question this week. We will save that for at the end. All right, NRLW, the Sharks girls travel to Canberra to play the Raiders, who were last start losers. Excitedly, 20-year-old forward Stephanie Faulkner will make her NRLW off the interchange bench after a season-ending ACL injury to Philomena Hennessy. Chris, what did you make of the girls' loss round 1?
Yeah, like I touched on, it was Cronulla personified. We were a red hot that team. I think we went out there thinking that was going to be the case. We started well, and there was obviously a funny bounce for the first try off the post and a second kick, and next thing we know, we're down 12 points, and it was just, I don't know. We tried to catch up from there and tried to force it. Obviously, the ACL injury was a big blow to the team. There was a dodgy hip drop tackle call where the referee reacted more to the player getting injured, but it was a knee clash that the referee didn't see, and just didn't have enough to come home and win. So disappointing start, but I'm sure the girls will bounce back this week.
Certainly in it. I just think there's a couple of simple things for them to learn still, which goes for the same thing we say to the men's team each week. It's not like we're saying that just for the girls, but that last try the Sharks team scored, they could have gone closer to the posts. They went over and just scored, and it's just a couple of things like that. It's just classic Sharks play, isn't it, Franko? Not capitalising then when we had the chances.
Yeah, look, there was a few moments there that you could point at and say if we did something differently there. I think there's certainly an element of rust first game of the season. You'd prefer not to see that. I felt we were clearly the better team. We just didn't put it together for the whole 70 minutes. It was one of those things where, look, Parramatta have a lot of muscle. They were pretty strong down the middle. Were able to push off a bunch of would-be tacklers. But yeah, I think we had their number for most of it. It was just a little bit of rust and a little bit of disjointed cohesion that just let us down there at key moments. So we'll cliche it up and be better for the run and come back next week and show them how it's done.
Shark centers, though, they're still the absolute guns, though, aren't they?
Oh, best in the
How
league.
good are they? They're just so good. And I liked when Emma Veron pushed over the para player when they scored. I thought that was quite good too. It's like,
Yep.
get it to them.
Bit of passion.
Even Dodd reminds me of Brayley. Like, how good she had a dummy half and just goes through and breaks through, scores 50 metres. They did the old bow down to the Queen celebration. It was pretty cool. But just when she runs, the team's different. It's just it felt like that. It felt like it was a round one. We should win. We were $1.40 to $4, and we should just go out and smash it. And it just didn't happen.
I've asked the Sharks how much to sponsor a player in the NRLW. I initially asked just to get it for free, but I think they're knocking me back because they didn't actually answer. So, but I reckon maybe we should do a GoFundMe. We work out who would we want to sponsor. So Emma Veron is sponsored. Obviously, Penatani is sponsored, as is Anessa Biddle and Georgia Hanaway. So basically, all the try scorers and Rhiannon Byers is also sponsored. So who would we want to sponsor otherwise?
They've probably all got some kind of sponsor, some description, whether there's a catch-all sponsor or whatnot. But
but they have the individual player sponsors, like the
I know exactly what you mean.
on the team list. They have the
surely they're going to pick one of the local girls for Franko. Surely someone who's come through the grades.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, on this screen here, they have the they have the sponsor here. I was like, it's proudly sponsored by the EG stand. Is what I was thinking. I reckon that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that for one of our young juniors coming through, Harold Matz or Flegg or something as well. But yeah,
it's got to be Ellie or Dodd. Surely that'd be a massive get.
I think we'd go for one of the more.
Either Ellie Johnson or
we might not have a choice, but
yeah.
Well, this is definitely true. Well, I'd choose Data Taylor if we could afford it, but we probably wouldn't be allowed to. Plus, he might actually get some tries.
Tell you who did impress me was Byers, Rhiannon Byers there in the back row. She's doing a really good job. I think might be more on me. I didn't really notice her last year. Was she with us last year? This is showing my ignorance, guys. But she was doing a really good job there, both in defence and full of energy. So obviously did really good. And then really, really awesome. Someone in the Discord, probably 2.0, was having a bit of a yarn about Emma Veron's try-saving tackle there in the corner, which was fantastic. Awesome fullback play. Something that Kennedy would be proud of. I think it was a good showing for sure.
It's quite bizarre that our team parallels the men's team so much. Like, they've got two big, really good forwards, like a representative gun out of dummy half, a well-known centre, and if not 5'8", a good attacking and then usually defensive fullback. It's just it's so bizarre, and then to end up losing by a goal kick it just parallels the whole men's team. It's weird. A low crowd on a Thursday night, like.
All right, that'll do us on the NRLW. A couple of other comments. Let's just firstly answer Dean's comment here. Do you have to generally be a member to get 2 tickets to the ET stand? Also, is the Peter Burn stand inferior? Dean, if you want to go to Friday night's match, just write me a comment. I might have some spare tickets myself. So I don't often do that, especially if Chris hasn't responded to me yet, Dean, telling me if he wants tickets. So do you want 1 ticket, do you, Chris?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Maybe 2.
Okay, cool. Maybe 2. All right.
Fares too, so we can sort out Dean.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, send me a message, Dean, if you want to come to this week's match, because a few of us are away. And then Dean also asked another question, which was, if you guys had to play for the Sharks, what positions would you be? I'm going to answer for the other 2 numbnuts who aren't here and tell you that Williams would be a winger because he's fast and very fit. And Latz has got to be a front rower, doesn't he, Chris?
He grew up a front rower, mate. He's a front rower born and bred. So, yeah, he's definitely a front rower.
So Latz is a front rower. Franko, where would you play?
I, in my younger playing days, was a winger. I was always the fastest in the team, fastest, I would dare argue, in the league. No one could catch me, no one could touch me. But I was terrible in defence. So I was your classic old school winger of, give me the ball, I'll run as fast as I can and get it down the other end, but don't make me tackle anyone. So throw me out on the wing and hope that I stay out there on the wing. Funny anecdote though. We went and toured New Zealand, and I went from not seeing anyone that could go anywhere near my speed to a whole bunch of Kiwis that were putting me to shame, and it really dented my confidence. But yeah, I'm on the wing.
Chris?
Yeah, look, back in the younger days, prolific winger, try scorer, very quick as well. Defensive, not too bad. Played centres. I like an intercept as well. But these days, it's probably 6 or 13, probably for me. I don't think I want the pressure of Nico, but I go 6 or 13.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I always thought I was a dummy half. So I was a number 9, or it's just a burrowing kind of player. Or also always like the idea of being the 5'8" for the Sharks. So if I was to have my dream scenario and where I would want to play, I just think number 6 for the Sharks is the position that I would probably want to play for some reason. So I don't know. They always talk about the Queensland number 6 jersey being the heralded jersey for the Sharks. You'd have to say the 3 jersey for the Sharks is probably our most heralded number, wouldn't you, Franko?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's showing our age a little bit. But for our generation, definitely the 3. We have not really had any standout centres for quite some time.
Whoa. Pomeroy. What are you talking about? Pomeroy. The great Pomeroy.
Well,
So
it was
like legend.
4.
Oh no, he was number 3. What are you talking about? He was typically more number 3. Andrew Ettinghausen, Steve Rogers, Ben Pomeroy. 3 just names that just echo through eternity of just Sharks legendariness. What's the most famous Sharks player number for you then, Chris?
It has to be Gerard Beale, International Beale, surely. He's won a premiership as a centre, as a reserve. Jack Bird, come on. You guys missing some good.
You realise Gerard Beale was number 14 though, right?
Yeah, it's for me, it's either 1, 3 or 2. It has to be.
Ooh. Number 1, Ben Barber, Peachy.
Yeah.
Dave Simmons.
Yeah,
Toshio Lucini.
It's either that or you have to throw in Gallons 13, but he played so many different positions early on. It wasn't really an iconic kept number that he had. So, yeah, for me, it's 1, 2, or 3.
All right. Well, get your comments in the section later. And then lastly, Stuart, I don't know who Wyan Mulder is. Is that like some guy from the X-Files? No mention of Wyan Mulder. Who's Wyan Mulder? Scoring the 5th highest test score of all time last night. I assume he's a cricketer.
Quick, somebody.
All right. Sorry, Stuart. I would all be like...
he is South African cricketer. There you go.
South Africa. Yeah, I knew that.
Declares 34 runs short of beating Lara's test record. So test record was 400 from memory. So there you go. That's not bad. Why would he declare? I think that's so dumb. I'll never forgive.
Yeah, go on. Do it, Franko.
Forgive what?
Someone declared once to not beat the record.
I will never forgive bloody, what's his name? Tasmanian Australian captain, Tim Payne.
Ponting.
I'll never forgive Tim Payne
for
declaring while Warner was on a tear against, I think it was Sri Lanka, maybe Pakistan in Australia. He did end up beating.
Franko loves Warner too, by the way.
Oh, and he would have got that 400 easy. They declared because they didn't want to lose the game. They didn't want to draw it. They had to win the match. And we still won with over a day and a half to spare. It was just disgusting captaincy. Awful.
I thought Mr. Fujitsu himself also declared, and Michael Clark's also done it were on the verge.
Yeah,
of a
but they weren't going to get to 400. Warner was going to get to 400 in this match. He was just schooling them. It was ridiculous.
Franko was watching a game of cricket once at his old house on Burrony Bay Road, and there was a young cricketer named David Warner playing. And Franco's mates at the time were saying, "This guy's rubbish. He sucks. He's not going to be any good." And Franko, true to his word, showing very early podcasting, said, "No, no, 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 no. This guy's going to be really good." And Warner proceeded, I believe, to score 74 runs in that one of the opening early days 2020 matches, I believe.
It was the very first T20 international, Australia versus South Africa. Warner debuted, and yeah,
And he
the
kicked ass.
bet was he wouldn't get more than 20. I said, "You betcha he will." And yeah,
And
I
he
think
got
it was
74.
64. I think it was
Was it
64.
something like that. He didn't quite get 100, but he was certainly on fire. Just
The
true to his
losers
word.
had to go and do some nudie runs.
Was that Gavin?
It was, well, look, let's not bring names into it for people, but there was a bunch.
But we're looking at you, Gavin and Sheaf, I think were the two at the time. Who knows? All righty, gang. That was the ET Stand podcast for this Tuesday. Enjoy the State of Origin tomorrow night. We won't do a watch along because I want to watch it with my dad. And then we'll be back with the debrief right after full time. I think, don't know who's going to do that. We might even do it live from Shark Park because I am house sitting down there at Woolooware Bay. So if you see me down there, come and say good day. That's me, David Bolderman, for my lovely co-host, Stephen Franklin and Chris Kelly. Up, Cronulla. Fins up.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.